Now, you may not like about the extra questions that are coming here from the financial side, but I'm still very curious. When you're working with these other businesses, and like, let's say, I'm sure they come and say, "Can you take a look at our security?" And
Mhm.
it takes time. Like, how is Byte Masons getting compensated? Are you guys doing that more of just like, "Hey, we want to build a reputation, just be well known"? Are they these projects saying, "Okay, here's some tokens. Thank you for the time," and then you put that in the piggy bank and you're like, we're just going to accrue interest and add it to our balance sheet. We good. Like, can you give me some more insight into that?
So when we create a relationship with one of these companies, it comes with some very serious equity commitments, and it's basically saying you are bringing us on as a partner for life. And I don't want to get into the nitty gritty details. Right now, we're working on creating legal infrastructure to take on a lot of these assets. So exactly how it's going to like benefit users and holders. I mean, no matter what, us accruing assets is going to benefit in the long run everybody. But how we're going to take them on and where we're going to keep them and how we're going to wrap them into our businesses and our strategy will depend on where we end up legally. So these are conversations that have been happening for months, and they are really slow conversations, but they're absolutely necessary. So I will say, like, it is going into the piggy bank, but these are very, very serious engagements. And when I call it like our venture arm or our ventures or our venture branch, I will say straight up that we're probably, you know, one of the two or three biggest venture holders, like venture entities that are specific to Fantom or that as far as Fantom assets are concerned. So yeah, that's kind of an edge to our business that a lot of people don't understand. And like when you think about, um, how come so few top tier, like top 20 Fantom DeFi protocols are ever vulnerable to exploits? Um, why are there so few exploits on Fantom for top projects? Yada yada yada. Ignoring people who may be up and coming and we haven't had time to talk to or interface with. But a lot of that culture stems from myself and our co-founder Goober and the Byte Masons kind of approach to technical advisory, because we're wide open to anyone, and kind of I take on security from the architecture side. Goober takes on security from kind of the low-level logic side. Both of us have broad-ranging skills, but we can really de-risk a lot of people's operations just through a single conversation. Just because a lot of people don't think about their security, one, adversarially, or two, holistically. And a lot of people think, oh, if I get my smart contract audited XYZ, then I'm in the clear. But it's a really complex problem, and the solutions are not so simple as that. And it takes like a really in-depth uh, knowledge of security, and additionally a really broad knowledge of DeFi, and all the business domains within it in general. So we tackle the toughest problems in DeFi because we see the toughest problems in DeFi as um, the biggest impediments to scale and the biggest impediments to adoption from normal people, as opposed to DeFi natives or DeFi users.
But security is not sexy. Like, let's just call that out, right? But it's probably one of the most crucial, important things. And in terms of resources, also, like requirements, right? So the fact that you guys already know so much about it and are in it for the long term, you're like, yeah, this is more of that long term investment type of feel to it, as opposed to, let's say, a project that's trying to be flashy, pump up that coin. They're not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the next greatest thing. By the way, our security is so super tight. Like, that's why you should definitely, it's a bonus. But now, when you go into the long term of a project, security is a major thing. And there's so many examples of where exploits do happen and it's really hard to recover. Is there, so you already mentioned like Reaper Farm. So like knock on wood, no exploits there. Has there ever been any exploits that happened with Byte Masons? Have you guys bounced back from it? What's like the track record in that
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, on Reaper, we've never been exploited, but during like maybe September, August, and you can read about this on my Medium, we actually moving from test to production, deleted a line of code, a line of vital logic in a Scream strategy that ensured there were enough funds available for withdrawal. So funds got locked in there, about $2 million worth. And we got them out, and were able to distribute them back to users. So the impact wasn't like super severe, but it did happen. And when you're a security engineer and something like that happens, like you're like, oh, I want to kill myself. But we took that moment, and at that point we were three people, trying to secure what had become like a pretty extensive operation. So at that point, we took a step back and we were like, okay, we need to become DevSecOps guys now, which, DevSecOps is kind of security as it relates to developer operations. And, without getting too into the nitty gritty, it's basically a way to de-risk and I guess mitigate risk across the entire development pipeline, which we knew was an issue before it happened, and I guess we needed an excuse to actually work really hard on it. So we've secured our development pipeline to a point now that we can like be as productive and release things as frequently as like a shitcoin project, um, except with like totally secure architectures and totally secure processes, taking us from start to finish. So like I said, like the key to productivity and scale is ensuring that all of these pipelines, all of these operations are totally battened down, and that you have rigorously tested processes that can take you from test to production or from idea to production. And we're still trying to get better and better and better. Every meeting, every architecture meeting, every design meeting, every implementation session, every pair programming session, every security review, we're learning and we're growing and we're improving our processes. So, DeFi is so new that a lot of these areas are minimally explored, at least as they pertain to DeFi. So we're just working on taking things uh, to the next level. And we take a lot of inspiration from Yearn. I think Yearn probably has some of the best security processes in place now. Um, and we use them as a benchmark to hopefully become like better and better and eventually supersede them. And I think like with the way we've been able to scale our operations, and with the way we've been able to do it like professionally, at this point I think it's an inevitability. And I think like there are a lot of companies, and again, like we're a business to business operation. Like we're focused in on being the best at everything that we can be. So a lot of what we're researching in the market is how are other businesses accomplishing their stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we just kind of use that as a benchmark to be better. um, but it is a work in progress, and there are a lot of companies doing a lot of things that maybe this or that may be more advanced than us, and we're working on kind of overtaking them. But it is a process, and it's a process I think that in the long term will put Fantom kind of at the forefront of DeFi, especially as we broaden our client sheet, and we get more people on board. But it's something that we do for the sake of the network, and it's something that's not going on with any other network. Like we are the only company doing this. It might be happening on Ethereum, but there you've got more like Paradigm, A16Z, these like venture groups that are just basically spinning up businesses and applying their operational theories. So we're trying to get on that level for Fantom, and do it in a way that kind of nobody wants a VC breathing down their neck. People want help and people want the ability to kind of grow into their own. And we think that's an important part of building sustainable businesses. And we think that's a part of creating stellar talent is letting them kind of grow organically and giving them time to mature. And we apply the same thought process to business. And all of this stuff takes time. And it's not exciting to investors. It's not exciting to retail. But uh, I mean, it's exciting to the investors we're after, but it's something that definitely needs to be communicated, maybe a little better from our end. But it's our primary focus, and like it's where most of our innovation happens. Uh, and we do some cool stuff with Reaper. We do a lot of cool stuff on Learn, but a lot of our energy, a lot of our focus, and a lot of our innovation is happening in the background. And we're doing a lot of really great research. So I hope it eventually excites retail as it kind of is packaged into more retail friendly ways or products. But for now, we're just trucking along.
That's awesome. So this raises the question though of why Phantom to begin with. Maybe we should discuss that from the very beginning because it sounds like you guys are loyal to the Phantom ecosystem, right? You got a lot of deep connections. I want to talk about like certain partnerships, etc., that you've already established. And why Phantom, right? Because there's going to be a lot of different layer twos, layer ones. It's going to rotate in popularity. People are rotating, but seems like
Yeah.
you got deep roots in the Phantom side. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, my first DeFi experience. Well, not my first DeFi experience, I guess, but my first like serious DeFi investment was on Phantom. Um, I had played around on Ethereum some. I'm honestly to the crypto game. I'm relatively new. I started, middle of 2020. So I haven't been a bag holder forever. Until DeFi, I thought crypto was a scam, and then I started realizing the power of Ethereum. And I was like, okay, this will be my career forever now. But yeah, I mean, Phantom, there are three main reasons that I like Phantom and that the leadership. Michael Kong, I think, is, again, he takes a similar approach to us. A lot of what he does is quiet, focused on kind of more broad strokes. But that is a seriously smart guy doing some, really intelligent strategic planning. And that kind of leads me into my next point being uh, their long-term vision, the Phantom Foundation's vision for what DeFi is going to be, makes perfect sense to me in a way that most of the stuff these other networks are talking about doesn't make sense. A lot of it is like, a cryptographer's or VC's opinion of where DeFi should go or what DeFi is going to be. And sometimes the guys with the big balance sheets, can kind of force these things to happen. But I think the most intelligent view of the future of DeFi is the Phantom Foundations, and that is that the EVM right now is the most trusted computing environment in the world, just about, at least anything that operates at the scale that it does. It is battle tested, it's secure, it has operated successfully in a way that no other solution has.
Mhm.
I would say Cosmos is way up there. I really like Tendermint, but EVM is like where it's at,
Right.
and their belief that the key to scaling DeFi is improving the EVM is one that I share, and at least I think in the medium term, that is going to be the biggest place to capitalize is EVM optimizations, EVM improvements, because when you are operating from the EVM, you have the largest library of battle tested DeFi code available to you, period. And all these other chains, like, you know, there aren't a lot of smart contracts programmed in Rust that are, tested or trustworthy. Um, it's all about the EVM. So that, and then the third reason is I just like that they're a grassroots organization. And the Fantom Foundation started with VCs, but all of them left, and it was taken over by the community. And the community was able to gather some really serious talent, and they're kind of, growing alongside us and alongside everyone else. And they've maintained kind of a crystal clear vision as to what DeFi is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And it's a vision that other people may talk about, but no one kind of believes and understands like the foundation. And for all their foibles, they've dabbled in like DeFi software, NFT software, or whatever. Um, that's like that's kind of what you do when you have as much money as they do. You just hire teams to try stuff, and that's like such a footnote. And again, these are the things you're doing to approach retail. So retail is going to see that and be like pissy and cry about it. But all the important stuff is happening in the background, and all the serious stuff is happening internally, where a lot of people can't see or can't gain insight to, unless they're really kind of close into the industry. So yeah, it's just they take a really serious approach. I think they take a really intelligent, measured approach, and they do it in a way that isn't hype driven. And I think that's really important when you're trying to create users for the long term, as opposed to bag holders seeking the next 10x or whatever. And on Fantom, you do get the 10x's anyway, so it
You get a little
is.
sprinkle of that there too. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So yeah, I'm just all about Fantom, and I don't think anybody is on their level right now as far as like the long term vision.
So do you think that is correctly that sentiment is being represented in the market right now, especially in the price? Or are you just like, you know what, I don't care because money is money, but the innovation is going to lead the way. So that is your primary focus.
Yeah, I mean they're undervalued. I mean, if you compare them to kind of the speculation that's priced into every single asset, like Fantom is a value play, which I also really like, and like it's cheap. It's cheap to transact. It's a really great user experience across the board, and it doesn't have a lot of that hype priced in because they don't really care about pricing in all that hype. So you're talking about VCs propping up the price of other assets on other chains. People are going in thinking, oh, I'm going to get outsized returns on this, and really you get outsized returns after the VCs decide to take their profit. You can realize those. So it's like um, people just kind of have misconceptions about how market caps are kind of created and sometimes fabricated, and how finance works. And being able to ignore all that noise and kind of cut through it with R&D and a long-term mindset is important, I think. And that's not to say there isn't value in creating hype and doing all that. There's a time and a place, but I would say it shouldn't be your core marketing strategy. It shouldn't be your core business strategy. And for a lot of people, it is a core strategy. And I say a lot of times people run their DeFi companies or their crypto companies like T-shirt companies, where it's like pushing useless collab after useless collab, pushing useless tech after useless tech, just trying to make it seem like you're on the cutting edge, when you're really just kind of pushing yourself further and further back as far as the long-term visions are concerned. So, I am kind of singularly focused on Fantom right now. I have my eyes on a few other blockchains, but kind of the important thing to me is maintaining crypto's like ethics first vision and value forward vision, as opposed to kind of going the profit first or profit motivated traditional finance route. And we may not make the most money, but I think we can appeal to the most users. if we're given the time to do so, because we're creating value propositions that go both ways, as opposed to the one-sided ones you see a lot of places. And there's a lot of obfuscation done so that people don't know how one-sided a lot of their investments are. But there's like that's what we're doing with Learn.ByteMasons.com, is we're kind of trying to skill people up and teach them how to think about investments, and teach them how to win trades, and teach them how to win kind of investments, and in kind of the long term succeed in DeFi and in broader financial markets. So yeah, that's just retail is a tough nut to crack, and we don't want to do it ham-fistedly, and we don't want to crack it with hype. We want to crack it with education, and we want to teach users that, hey, here's what we offer, here's what the ecosystem offers, here's ways you can capitalize on what's going on in crypto and DeFi without getting your shorts taken from you.
But how do you appeal to retail then? Because it seems like the strength is really focused on the innovation, business to business. But then when it comes to documentation and learning, it's not attractive. Is there any way how to get more of these, new retail investors and even existing retail investors want to take the time, energy, effort to learn as opposed to getting seduced by a 10x coin?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, the next big 10x play is a big 10x play for like 5 to 10 people. Uh, so like that's one thing that people need to understand. And education isn't pretty, but we believe that the people interested in educating themselves and gaining advantages in the market are the ones that are going to be the most valuable to have in the long term. So kind of pairing with our long term vision, it's like if you're willing to skill up, and if you're willing to be smart, and if you're willing to go the extra mile, to participate in our community and be a member of our platform, you know, while all the other people's bags are going to zero, you're going to keep succeeding and keep succeeding, and hopefully eventually have quite a bit of money, or quite a bit more money than you would have had in the years preceding. So a lot of what we do is to facilitate growth like that. And we're working on packaging it into a more retail-friendly, user-friendly way. It takes time. It's kind of a war against people's ADD urges, getting them to sit down and read an article or watch a video. But we'll be, I mean, basically, like our goal is to create like kind of a media empire as it pertains to education, and that's like a big market. That's a big, huge market, and it's one that is not executed on very well, I think, so far, or not invested in properly. And we're certainly investing in it properly. So, and it's going to be like, free content, and it's literally, like I said, most of our marketing budget goes there. And it's top of funnel marketing. So we're just trying to attract users to our greater ecosystem, whether they want to invest money or not. We want them to be aware of us and our mission, and we want them to be aware of what's happening in DeFi and how to succeed. And if you have the smartest users, if you have the trickiest users, best at trading, best at investing, best at farming, again, in those long time frames, those are going to be the best users to have. So if people are able to attribute that to Byte Masons and the content we're putting out, then that's like a huge, huge, huge win in my book. And I think fair finance for all. You don't have fair finance until everybody's properly educated. And investing in education is the best long-term investment, period. And you look at like countries that invest in education, how they're able to create sustainable economies, and how they're able to like push research forward and do a bunch of great stuff. And it is like, again, a lot of our growth strategy we take from like urban development playbooks, in like macroeconomic playbooks, and things like that. Like, how can you build a foundation that will last forever? And that's kind of where most of our effort lies. That's where a lot of our investment lies.
Well, a
And
lot
then,
of it is probably indirect, though. You know what I'm saying? Because you could have a user that comes in, goes like, "Man, Byte Masons, heck yeah, I learned all these great strategies, etc.," and they apply it on their own. but there's not really a metric to necessarily show like, oh, hey, because of our website, look at how much more profitable all these users are. You know what I'm saying? And it does take time. So similar probably with the urban development, etc. There's not like an immediate return. Perhaps after 15, 20 years, when probably the younger generation goes through the better schooling system. This is just how I'm expecting it, you know, assuming. Then
Yeah.
later on, the payoffs do arrive. So how could
Yeah.
you like? Is there any way how to like say, dude, because of Byte Masons and our Learn.Byte Masons, look at how much positivity and you know growth
Yeah.
that we provided to the community.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're working on like POAP protocols, which is like proof of attendance, things like that. We're working on, quizzes, NFTs, creating incentive structures to kind of analyze that and pull that in the short term. And in the long term, we've got data scientists that would argue that some of these things are immeasurable, but or would argue against that. But yeah, we have an entire kind of data effort going on just so we can ensure that a lot of our efforts aren't going wasted and that we're investing in the right places. And that takes time creating like model data models and things like that to ensure that there's not too much noise. You're getting a really clear picture of where your investments or what your investments are doing and what your users are doing and what is impacting them. But even so, like we can see, like, okay, we release content about Beethoven and their bribes and things like that.
Ooh, I love
And
those.
our
Okay, anyway, sorry, but yeah.
yeah, our Beethoven crypts, go up 25% in TVL. And these are pretty easy insights to draw, and it's just about making users comfortable with their investments because fear is a huge aspect of DeFi because it's hard and people don't understand it. And I think boiling it down into approachable content. And again, we're kind of targeting the intermediate audience. So, you've already been onboarded, you've already maybe poked at this protocol or that protocol. How do you become an expert? How do you how do you talk like someone who knows what finance actually is and how it
Hey,
works?
hey now. Not just messing with you.
But yeah, we're like learn.bytemasons.com. And we'll eventually like rebrand into something more specific as we like break into other forms of media. But yeah, it's we're seeing great feedback so far. We're seeing it translate into usership and traffic. We're seeing it translate into TVL, and it's just about building trust and building relationships with your users that go beyond profit, that go beyond P&L, and that's like really really important to us. So yeah.
So, Justin, let's say somebody's watching this video right now and they're like, you know what? I work a 9 to 5 job. Kind of always want to get into programming. Don't want to necessarily go to school because that's going to be expensive. I don't even know if that's going to work out. But kind of into crypto, I want to learn a little bit more of development. Are there any resources that they could come through Learn.Byte Masons? Is there anything that they could do to potentially level up and be a part of Byte Masons in the future?
Yeah, I mean, the Reaper Farm Discord is home to a ton of really fabulous content to get people started with software engineering, programming, coding, whatever you want to call it. And kind of, I mean, we have enough resources to take people from absolute beginner to professional. It just takes time to go through those. So head in the Reaper Farm Discord if you're watching this, and just at me or ask for the educational resources in the general chat, and someone will point you to the right direction. And also on Learn, we've been aggregating a lot of the resources that we give to people. And then in general, like I'm working on a lot of content to get people started with development and get people started understanding how to create a software company and how to succeed in kind of the broader DeFi landscape. I mean, you'll be seeing a lot of this in the next, couple of months. I only have, 10 hours a week maybe to work on writing and things. And these are pretty broad topics. So I plug away at them, and we'll see more and more of them. But yeah, if you want to be a programmer, there's no better place to hang out than the Reaper Farm Discord, which is also now the Byte Masons Discord, but discord.gg/Reaper Farm.
I'll
Yes.
leave all the links in the description, but would it be
Awesome.
possible, maybe have you entertained the idea of like almost having an academy or a university where like
Oh.
certain developers go through the process, or maybe there's some sort of examination and you give that stamp of approval that yes, Byte Masons were a high level standard. This developer at least knows, comprehends, and has passed our examination as a result.
Yeah, we have an apprenticeship program, and the end of that is just we hire you. Uh,
That's great.
it's we're not offering certifications or anything like that, and it's something we can think about in the longer term, but it's a lot of work, and right now there's a lot of building that needs to get done before we can really focus on holding people's hands. Because right now, like a lot of what we focus on is self-motivation, self-motivated people, self-motivated, users in general, and kind of getting them to a point where, okay, now we have the smartest community in crypto, we have the most skilled community in crypto. Um, we've spent months and months and months building this. Maybe now it's time to put the pedal to the metal and start taking everything we're doing to retail. And those are the people that we want to reward with outsized gains. Those are the people that we want to hold our token. Those are the people that we want um, to understand what we're doing. These are kind of the pre-hype masses, and we're trying to collect as many of them and skill as many of them up as we can, so we can create a serious long-term user base, which will hopefully translate to a serious long-term capital base, seeing as we'll be teaching them enough to win all their trades, hopefully. But
Nice.
you can't win all of them. That's rule number one. But yeah, just skilling everybody up and getting everybody understanding how all of these markets work. Yield markets, money markets, shitcoin markets, exchanges, things like that. There are recipes for success, and knowledge is the key. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you are going to get beat out by people that do every single time. So it's like going to a gunfight with a banana. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, hey,
Uh,
I picked the banana 6 times out of 10, okay? Like, people are gonna be like, "Are you serious?" Be like, "Yep."
yeah, you throw it on the ground, they slip on it and die 1,000 times over. But
That'd
yeah,
be awesome.
yeah. This I wasn't expecting this to be such a Byte Masons focused interview, but I'm kind of glad I've never talked about our company in such depth.